hello, and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Carol Jenkins. The program is Black America. Kerry Coddett is a Brooklyn-born comedian, writer, and producer whose work is as bold and, we might warn you, unfiltered as it is hilarious. Her work has been seen on shows like Flatbush Misdemeanors, on The Nightly Show. And she joins me today as my guest, Kerry. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Right. We were talking a little bit before, and I said my friends are always pointing me out as the one who never gets the joke, you know? They say to me, why aren't you laughing? But you make me laugh, so thank you for being here.
Round of applause if you're visiting, like you're on vacation. See, I said round of applause, she ain't even here. She gave me a pageant wave. Greetings, I come to you from Botswana. Where are you from, babe? South Africa. I know my sisters. You know that one, right? I know my sisters. She said, we do not clap in South Africa, okay? We wave to show that we are free.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, where does this comedic life spirit come from?
I think it comes from my family and from my grandmother. And she was someone who had the best sense of humor ever. But if you met her, you would probably think, what's wrong with this lady? She's mean. But that was just her face.
Right.
And so we always learned how to laugh at any single circumstance, any situation. She grew up telling us that laugh and cry lives in the same house, which means that you could laugh at something or you could cry about it. So choose how you want to respond.
So your grandma, and you have a production company too called Grandma's
House.
But the house is spelled H-A-U-S?
Yes.
Meaning?
It's just a fancy way to say house.
Okay.
And the other way was taken already.
Oh, I see.
Also, it's a production house. And so
Right.
It's not a literal home. And so it's a house of production and creativity.
Right. And what you're producing things there. And you were chosen by Netflix, right, for some mega award production deal.
The head of film at Netflix founded this production company that has an incubator program. And
Right.
so they chose 15 up-and-coming mid-level rising filmmakers, and I'm happy to be one of them.
I know. When I saw that was fantastic. You know, among the places I was listening to your comedy was on the bus and laughing out loud. You know, and people were saying, "Who is that? Who is that?" You know, so that you now are as this show runs, your Mudhole production that you submitted. Talk to us of how that came about. It will have run, but there's more coming up in November. You'll have another chance to see it.
Sure. Mudhole is my one-woman show. It is something that I've been working on. I think the idea came to me in the middle of the pandemic, in the middle of the night. Like, I was just like, this is the story that I'm supposed to be telling. And so it's a deeply personal story about my coming of age and how I went from being valedictorian to being a truant to back again. And it really is a commentary on going through the New York City public school system and the education system, from private school to public school and back again. And so I'm just so proud to tell that story.
Yeah, and we are proud too, because being a part of the CUNY family, you graduated from Baruch College when you were 19 years old?
Yes, I graduated from Baruch at 19.
Cum laude?
Cum laude.
You know, managed to do that. But I was looking at your Instagram where you posted your grades, starting, I guess, when you were 12, you know, and on. Talk to us about that, because you had a very, very rough period.
Not the grades being up. Oh my God.
All right. Oh, look at this.
I love it. So I went to Brooklyn Tech. I was 12 years old. And so I went from being 8th grade valedictorian. I skipped 2 grades in elementary school. And I was supposed to be the most brilliant thing they saw. And when I got to Brooklyn Tech, I lost my mind, Miss Carol.
Yes.
You're not supposed to be 12 going to the largest gifted high school in the country. And so at that time, I think I was just overwhelmed by just the school and the new surroundings, and my parents had just split up. And so I did everything textbook. I stopped going to school. I started cutting. I was fighting every day. I joined a gang.
What do you mean you?
Yes.
You what?
Which part?
You joined a gang?
I
that
sure
part.
did. That part. Yeah, I got sliced by a blood when I was 13, and in retaliation, I joined the Crips.
Oh my gosh.
It was outrageous. My mother was like, what is going on? What happened to my scholar? And I was like, I'm a hood rat now. But
oh my goodness. So you were a Crip And you were doing weed, and you were how old now?
People don't do weed, Miss Carol.
Oh,
They
I'm
smoke weed. You do drugs. Weed is a medicine. I stand by it. They taught me that at CUNY. Okay?
Oh, they took. Hush. Right. So, so you did what? Smoked weed?
I smoked weed. I still smoke weed though, so that has nothing to do.
all right. But you were what? 12 years old?
I was 13 at this time.
13 by this time.
13.
And what did you do as a gang member, though? What were you?
My ganging was so minimal that it's hardly even worth mentioning, but I feel like I should mention it because it is a part of my story. And
Yes.
the reason I like to tell it is because, so I went to 3 different high schools in 1 year. And by the time I got to my final high school, Canarsie High School, shout out to Brooklyn, my guidance counselor was like, you're gonna be left back. There's no way you're gonna graduate on time. You're probably gonna do another 2 years. And I was like, oh, you don't know me, ma'am. And so I had my mom and my sister come to the guidance counselor, and they gave me an illegal amount of classes. I had 25 classes that I had to pass every single one in my senior year to graduate on time, and I did that. So if you look back at the transcript, you see 12th grade, I got it all the way together. I graduated on time at 16, my GPA skyrocketed, and then I went back to the model student that I was meant to be.
Well, how? Well, I know that's a part of the show, but how do you, at 13, smoking weed, not doing weed, and being in a gang, what was the turnaround? First of all, well, you described your situation at 12, and as you recommend to parents, even if you have a genius child, do not let them skip 3 grades and put them at 12 years old.
Yeah, not a good idea.
In high school,
Yeah.
right. So, but now what was the turnaround for you for getting your studies in the right order and graduating like as the valedictorian?
I think it was a combination of finding spirituality, and so like I tapped back in.
Yes.
I left Crip to become a Rastafarian, and so but it grounded me. It grounded me spiritually. It made me focused, and also I found a performing arts program. And really, I needed an outlet for all that angst. So all the anger that I had at the system, at my family, at the world, at society, I put in spoken word, in music, in performing.
In dance.
In dance, yeah. So I think you need the arts, because kids need an outlet.
Right.
And then you also need something that's higher, some type of calling, something above you that's like, you can do this. And I had my family.
And you had your family, right. Now when I say dance, you were dancing for many companies. You know, you can do all of this apparently. Graduated at 19 and then became stylist, doing things for Jay-Z.
Sure did. When you say it, it sounds crazy. When I say it, it sounds normal. But when I hear it come out your mouth, it was like, maybe she was on something stronger than weed, because this sounds drug-induced. But all of that was happening at the same time.
So 19, you know, doing being with the big leagues, you know, as a stylist.
Yeah.
And then how did comedy come out of that for?
So what I like to, when I think about my journey, I realize that I have been a storyteller my entire life. And so while the format might change, like in elementary school, I was doing poetry, then I became a rapper, and then fashion design, because my grandmother was a seamstress and a designer. And so I remember in high school, this is all senior year, I used to make t-shirts that said, F the police. And I would go out there and sell it, because I was like, I got something to say. And so I was always making statement pieces, bold clothes that had things to say. And so that is what I was focused on in Baruch. They supported me in my fashion design and dancing and all of that. And then when I graduated, I just launched my fashion design and styling company, and Jay-Z called, and I was like, I would be foolish not to answer this call. And so we did that. And then the recession hit, and I was like, oh, I don't think people want my statements anymore. They don't want to pay me hundreds of dollars for my statements. And I just kept performing. I did improv, I did sketch, and so it was all just storytelling. Rapping is just like telling jokes, setups, punchlines, and then it just got longer and longer, from sketch to stand-up to now I write TV. So I write TV
I
stories.
know for all of the other people's shows and your own, and you star in the shows. But I want to, in terms of the stand-up comedy, I understand that you won Caroline's big contest.
I did.
At the Caroline's Comedy. I know Caroline, and I miss the
club.
venue.
Yeah.
It is no longer there, but so many of the great comedians started there and always came back. So tell us about that contest. And it was it 64, 65 competitors?
Yeah, so Caroline's did this thing called March Madness, which is modeled after sports, I'm told. I do not watch it. But it's an elimination where every week you come and people, they whittle you down. And so I'm the only woman in history to have won this privilege of being the funniest person in New York City.
And so you won that contest.
I sure did.
Well, now comedy, when you do the search for women in comedy, Black women in comedy, you know, there are certain kinds of stories that, you know, that arise. And one is the fact that, you know, they're unappreciated and it is very difficult to get work. Not in your case, which is...
Knock on wood, please, in this economy.
So that you had a beef with Saturday Night Live about their Black women, you know, who the women were and what they did and all of that. Tell us about your being less than enthusiastic about them now and how you feel about them now.
In the beginning of my comedy career, and I believe it all started with Kenan Thompson made a quote that they may have pulled out of context, and someone was asking him about why there aren't any Black women on SNL, and he was like, they aren't ready. And so I took that personally. I should not have in hindsight. Girl, it wasn't about you. Kenan don't know you. But the point was that we are out here and there's tons of Black women killing it and crushing it and have all different types of perspectives. But it really seems like the only ones that were platformed were ones that fit in with this very specific way of telling a story. And so I penned an article on The Atlantic that went viral. And my manager, who's also like my sister and my best friend, was like, girl, if you write this article, what happens? Like, do you know that you could kiss your career in comedy goodbye? And I'm like, I'm an activist. I got things to say. God's gonna take care of me. What's for me? All the things. And so I didn't actually think that I would be called to audition. But sure enough, the article made so much noise that they were like, I guess we should start auditioning Black people now. And so they held these auditions for Black women on the East Coast and on the West Coast, and I was tapped to audition on the thing. And I was like, I hope they don't know I wrote this article. I hope nobody tells them. But either way, I'm just so happy because after that, I didn't get it, but they hired Sashir Zamata, who I love. They hired, I think Natasha Rothwell ended up being in the writer's room, who we now know Natasha Rothwell as being on Insecure and White Lotus, and she just had her own show, How to Die Alone on Hulu. They hired LaKendra Tooks, who's amazing. Then after that, now to the current day, they had Leslie Jones. They had Sam Jay. They had Punky Johnson. They have Ego, who's on there now crushing it. And so I'm happy that they have Black women in the writer's room. Asha, who is young and brilliant. Like, they got it together, and I don't take credit for it. I just think that the times, everything happens for a reason, and it was just a time for them to be like, oh, there are dope people, let's just find them. And they did, and I love it.
Well, I think you can take credit for it, you know, and did they know?
You say that, I can't say that.
Okay, right, well, I can say
I won't correct you.
Okay, great. But did they know when you did the audition that you were the author of the article? Did they ever?
They did not know, but I believe the Daily News found out. And so after I auditioned, they were like, wait a minute, where did we see this name next to SNL before? But it didn't matter. They didn't pick me. It's fine.
Great. Take full credit for that, you know, sensational. I want to ask you about Amber Ruffin and her interaction with the Correspondents' dinner fiasco, I would say. You know, sad that it would have been anyone, I think, replaced at that point under the difficult circumstances. But I was just so unhappy that she was the one who got, you know, canned, so to speak. Talk to us about that. What was your reaction when you saw that?
When I saw that, I don't know that I was surprised, to be honest, but I think that right now I am in a spirit of not cynicism, but like they're going to do what they want to do and we have to do what we have to do, which is every day we get up, we tell jokes, we're going to be funny. And so sometimes we'll have opportunities that were promised to us that have been taken away, and that is consistent with this career in general. I have had TV shows that I have filmed, episodes, called my family around the TV, press play. It wasn't on there, Miss Carol. It wasn't on there. And so I'm used to, and I think all of us are, to a certain extent, are used to things like that happening. And in show business, we're like, nothing is guaranteed until it's guaranteed. And so it hurts and it's annoying, but we wake up and we're like, this is just another thing we have to deal with as part of the game. And what's next for me? What's my next opportunity? Because I can't spend time worrying about the people who don't want to see me. Who does want to see me? And let me show up in that room for them.
And do you think that the idea of political jokes is something that we, quote, don't do now, or we do them anyway?
Oh, we do them anyway. We say whatever we want to say, how we want to say it, and people feel how they feel, which is their right, and that's just part of the game.
So now you are, as I understand it, an LA resident now, no longer.
She's an LA girl.
What's that like?
I love LA, and I didn't think I would because I'm like die-hard Brooklyn. Like I talk like this. I go over there, I ask for my coffee. They're like, oh my God, where's she from? But I love LA for the wellness. I love the weather, and I love the pace of it. In New York, it is very much like this. Like if you're at the light driving, if you don't almost break through the green light, you got 10 people honking behind you to move. LA, they're chill. They'll let you sit there and just have a good time. They won't say anything, and so I love that about it.
Yeah, I found it very funny that you said there you can also say good morning to people.
You can. People say good morning in LA. I was not, the New York in me was like, what you want? You trying to steal from my purse? Like, why are you approaching me, stranger? But they say good morning. And I like to say good morning too, I learned.
Right. Now tell us about the Kwanzaa crawl.
Crawl.
I mean, so you're funny and you're doing great in this business, but you're also doing philanthropic work, and I love that.
Thank you. Kwanzaa Crawl is, I would say it's a passion project, but it has grown into way more than I could have ever anticipated. And so it is the largest bar crawl in the world for Black-owned businesses. My sister and I started it in 2016 as a response to all of the police violence and the police killing. And we just got tired of feeling hopeless. Like we were waiting for somebody to save us. Why won't people see us? And we were like, we're here, we're all we need. Let's just get our community together. Let's celebrate each other and let's support the Black-owned businesses in our neighborhood who need it. And so it's been so great to do this because it's really fostered a local economy. We have a community of bar owners and restaurant owners. We have thousands of people that come out every day, the day after Christmas in the cold to walk to support Black-owned businesses. We bring in over $500,000 a day. And the whole purpose was, what does it look like when we get Black people on one page at one time for one thing? And that's just to celebrate each other. And what does that look like? And so when we talk about boycotting the Targets and boycotting the Amazons, we should also talk about just supporting each other because it's tangible, it's actionable, and we can also change each other's lives.
Right, and as a part of all of this, you tell people what Kwanzaa means at any,
Yes.
So tell us, Kerry's version of what does Kwanzaa mean?
Sure. Well, growing up, I'll be honest, we didn't grow up celebrating Kwanzaa, and we very much grew up like, Kwanzaa, that sounds like a girl's name, and being very silly and just dismissive of it. But I think part of this whole, this collective consciousness that we have now, and we re-explored it, and we were like, oh my God, like, what's wrong with Kwanzaa? It's telling us to support each other. It's telling you to define yourself for yourself, self-determination, Kujichagulia, that's my favorite principle, because I feel like people always try to put us in a box, but you get to decide your version of who you want to be and how you want to show up. It's about creativity. It's about cooperative economics, spending your money with Black people. Like, I just love all of the principles, and I think that if we all practice them every day, Black America would be in a much better place.
I know. My grandchildren are my captive Kwanzaa participants.
Really?
Yes.
I love that.
Every year, and we set intentions for the full year in our Kwanzaa ceremony. So thank you for doing that. It's I think you're right. It's important for us to gather around each other and about principles that will, carry us forward. I want to ask you a question since you did mention the money issue. What about women comedians and how much they are paid? I know that some famous have complained that the discrepancy is scandalous. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm sure they're right. I'm sure that we are not being paid as much as our counterparts. I really I don't know what one is to do about that. Like I have a manager and a team, and I make sure that they negotiate the very best for me. And then I'm always like, I don't want to do it for this rate, or I will do it for this rate and figure out how to make it worth my while. And so oftentimes I find myself trying to get a job while I'm at a job. You know what I mean? Like, do you have a gala coming up that you would like me to host, Miss Carol? And so you just got to try to find your ways to make it worth your while. And hopefully we are then in a position where we can hire each other and pay each other what we're worth. Because for all the critiques that people have about Mr. Tyler Perry, what you always hear is that he pays his actors and actresses very well, and sometimes the most they've ever been paid. And so I think that might be our best solution, is to keep working so that we can bring ourselves to a place where when we have our production company, wink, wink, grandma's house, we can hire people and pay them what they're worth, because I don't believe in begging white people to see my value, because they never have, and I value myself. Coogee Jacqueline.
I'm so surprised that an F word did not show up there, you know? I mean, Audra's all set to bleep you, but, you know.
I know, first of all, I know how to talk on TV. Also, one of my degrees is in English. I have a very vast vocabulary. I just like the F word most than a lot of the other ones, but.
Great, great. And who are you? Who are the inspirations for you for this great career that you're having? Who before did you look at and say, oh my goodness, you know, I want to do that, I can do that? Who do you think that is the best in the business?
Oh, well, growing up, I was a huge Whoopi Goldberg. It's always going to be Whoopi Goldberg, Jim Carrey, Robin Williams, Moms Mabley,
Moms, you
Lucille
go
Ball.
back that far, Moms?
Yeah, because I grew up as a kid just loving watching character actors and people be funny and doing all these things. And so I think those are my earliest inklings of, I can do this. Yeah, and my grandmother
Okay.
forever and ever.
All right, now, and I saw that you interviewed your grandmother and to some hilarious results. And tell us about the question you asked her about, or someone was saying, well, what do you think about Kerry? You know, what big impression? What?
Yeah, my grandmother, she had dementia. And even through all of her forgetfulness, she still maintained her sense of humor and could laugh at her own circumstance. And so my sister was interviewing her for like my 30th birthday, and we wanted to make sure we got her in video. And my sister's like, Grandma, what's your favorite memory of Kerry? And she's like, I have no memories. And it was just so funny, but also so true. And so that is the laughing and the crying that live in the same house, right there.
The laughing and the crying, as we started that from your grandmother. What is your production company going to be producing? What do you have online with your sister?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, with Grandma's House Production, we have currently, so we have my one-woman show, Mudhole, that's coming out. We have our first short film that just premiered at AVFF. So we're very happy about making the festival circuit. We have some live productions happening. We are producing some television shows. And we're also collaborating with other creators to see what ideas they have so that we can help bring those to fruition, which is another F word that I like, fruition. And fortuitous.
And Audra, you don't have to bleep that one.
No.
And so the landscape, the future for you, I mean, again, this resurrection of your life, you did that, I mean, so well, from 13 years old to, graduating so early and doing all of these fabulous things. What do you envision for yourself moving forward? I can't imagine. What do you see?
I see so many things. I see it all. I see an EGOT in my future. I see multiple seasons of television shows. I have a family sitcom that's based on my grandmother's life and our dysfunctional family that I'm really excited about. But most importantly, I'm just excited about living each day to my best and to my fullest. And I don't know what the future holds for me. I didn't know I was going to be on this stage with you today. Do you know what I mean? And so I'm just open to any opportunity, and I'm just welcoming it with an open heart and an open mind and seeing. And hopefully there's a husband somewhere, child. If you're looking, hello. You know what I mean? Because I'm trying to hustle two different things, you see?
I see that. That's the first outward, quest, that you're good. You're good. And I'm doing the marriage ceremony if somebody responds and we look up and say,
I love that.
Oh, you're getting married. Oh, well, Kerry Coddett, thank you so much for being with us today. We wish you all the best success. You deserve it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Follow Kerry to find out more about her one-woman show, Mudhole, and all things Kerry puts her hand on. Kerry Coddett, thank you for being our guest today. And that's it for us. I'm Carol Jenkins. The program is Black America. Thank you for joining us. We will see you the next time. And now you can download the CUNY TV app in your Apple Store or in Google Play and find us there.